I want to welcome you. Thank you so much for coming out. I know it's beautiful outside, and it would be much better to be outside enjoying the weather. We have one more after this one, and it will involve testing. So, one more of the meetings. And when we finish today, I'm going to try to get a few ideas from you guys on what you would like to see us do next year for our parent connection meetings on the topics. We're going to start off with Chase Nelson. And Chase is I left my paper back here, Chase. Chase is our application support specialist. And he's going to talk to us about the parent portal.
Right, did everybody get one of these papers? Good deal. I'm glad the microphone is not projecting through our speakers because, oh, that's projecting. You get my good music that I thought I muted that I was talking about earlier. So, have any of you set up the parent portal yet? So we got one. So here's the good thing about the parent portal. If you remember iNow, when we had that iNow parent portal, I hated that. It was kind of clunky. You couldn't see a lot of information. This thing, you can see pretty much everything. You can see attendance, you can see grades, you can see what assignments the kids are missing, and you can go through. And if you forget your password, you don't have to call the school. You can call, or you don't even have to call. You can just go on and request it to send you an email. Another thing we ran into in the past, and I'm sure your kids never did that, but the kids would go in and reset the parents' passwords where they couldn't see the bad grades. I can't tell you how many phone calls I got of that. So you have your separate account, the kids have their separate account. So these directions walk you through every step of creating that portal account. I'm going to walk you through and use a student of one of the workers here, her son, and create an account on his to show you what it looks like on the inside if you've never been before. So when you go to that URL that's on the piece of paper here, this is what you'll see. You'll see a parent sign in, and if you've never done it, you'll just do create account, and you'll just go down here and do create account again. It's going to ask you a couple little questions, and I'm going to fill in my stuff real quick. And the email you put here will be the one that it's going to send a verification link, and if you ever forget your password right there. Another good thing about this, I'll just say it because it's happened in the past and it's experience that I've hit. If you ever have any like divorced parents or anything like that, in the past it was one parent wanted all, like they wanted to see it, and people aren't vindictive, but they'd go in and change the password where the other parent couldn't get in. Whoever has access to that kid can go in and create their own account. So if anybody has custody or anything like that, or if it's separated custody, you can have your own account there. So down here, when you scroll down, there's a link student to account. It's going to ask you for the student name. So that is where you'll put in the student's name. It'll ask you for an access ID. So if you don't have an access ID, there's very few of you here, so I can get that for you. If there was more, I'd be like, no, you got to contact the school. But it's very few, so we can get that for you. If you know your student's state ID number, it's the 9 digits after the first digit. That's weird, I know. That's why I say, we can get that for you. Or if you have one of your kids' report cards, you can get that off there too. Now for the access password, that's their birthday. And it's in this format. It's in 1-digit month. So if it's May, it's not 05, it's 5. If it's December, it's 12. So it's the 1 or 2-digit month, 1 or 2-digit day, and then the full year. And then you choose your relationship to that student. So I am not any of these, so I'm just going to choose friend. So I'm going to scroll down and hit enter. And right here, it's going to tell me to go verify my account. So I'm going to give it just a second. You kind of got to be patient with this little thing. Let's check spam. I knew one thing would not work the way I intended it to. We'll give it 1 second. I have a plan if that doesn't work. It could take up to 20 minutes. I know that's a big time frame to get it to send you that email. But as a backup, I'm going to show you what a student's looks like because y'all's look exactly the same. Let's go. I know she won't mind. And so we'll go back here. Y'all won't have to do all this mess that I'm doing. We'll do a different one. See if that was it. Nope. There we go. Okay. So here's what the parent portal looks like. Right? First screen that comes up, this is your kind of quick view of this. You have your grades and attendance. You can see right here, this is kind of a quick last week, this week. Was your kid absent? Was he skipping? I don't know if y'all have any high schoolers, but sometimes, they like to tend to not go to class. So you can see that right there by period. Right over here, that's every single period they're in. Right here is the grades. Okay. If there's a little I, that just means there's no grade entered for that. You'll see that on some things like you can see on this student, that social studies intervention, they don't do grades for that class. So that's why you don't see a grade there. You may have a homeroom on there. You won't see that grade there as well. But the cool thing about this, you can click on a grade, and it'll take you right into every assignment. So if you need to see what your student's struggling in, or if you need to see what they haven't turned in, you can see right here. And it's got all the grades, the scores, exactly what they made. Any teacher's comments, if they need help on something, it'll appear on this screen here over on the right-hand side. I can also go back. I didn't really explain this too well. Some of it's self-explanatory, some of it's not. Your Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4, that's your 9 weeks. S1, S2, that's semesters. F1 is the full year grade. We know that's what everybody's really concerned about. So that's the one a lot of people look at there. X1, X2, those are exams, so you don't really have to worry about that unless your school does exams. Absences right here, you can see how many absences they've had in that class. You can also click on that absence, and it'll show you that exact date, and you can see, I don't know if y'all have any elementary kids out there, but you put the note in the kid's bag, the kid don't get it out, or it sits in the bag, things like that. You can check on here and see, it would say instead of PE, that means parent excuse, it would say UA for unexcused absence. And you could look on there and then call the school or contact the school and say, hey, check the kid's bag, there's a note in there somewhere. Or let me bring the note up there. All right? So the last thing you can do, right here, historical grades, that should appear. Well, there's still some bugs in this thing. This is brand new to the whole state, and there's been a lot of bugs with this setup. I know Ms. Yarbrough can completely agree with that. But historical grades, that's where you can view past year's grades. Transcript type information, that would be all right here. And then if the schools import lockers for middle school, high school, locker information can be found there. And you can also see the kids' schedule right there. You can also come here to My School Bucks, and you can actually make payments through that too. So you don't really have to go to the My School Bucks website. You can go here and make lunch payments, things like that. Last thing, I'll tell you a couple things real quick. I keep saying last thing, but if and when transportation stuff gets added, you can also go here and see bus information. That's something we're working on, seeing if we're going to add that or not. But you can also, I'm trying to see if there's anything before I go into this. Okay. Down here you have district code. You can download an app for your phone. So if you create your account, you can go down here and download it from the App Store on Google or Apple, type in that district code, and have it at the palm of your hand. So if you need to check or things like that, you can just pull it up and go through whenever you want. That was a quick rundown. So any questions about things you might want to see on here that that I might not have shown, or any questions about anything like this in general? Yes, ma'am. Yeah. I believe if they put that in there, you can. Now, on here, on the student portal, I know it should show and transfer back. If it doesn't, you can go to My School Bucks directly and pay that way too. They should have all those fees set up in there on their website. So if you can't see it on here, the sync just might not be working at the time, and you can go to that website and pay it. Any other questions? Y'all are a quiet bunch. Good deal. Well, thank y'all for your time. I appreciate it. Yes, I forgot that. There you go.
No, that's okay. Thank you so much, Chase. Next, we're going to have Lisa Eddleman, and she is a career coach here, and she's going to talk to you about FAFSA.
Actually, it's Jennifer Eddleman, but Lisa Farnsworth is the other career coach. That's fine. That's fine. We're best friends anyway, so we get each other mixed up sometimes, I think. So if you don't know, FAFSA is the application for Pell Grant, which is free money for college, and it's also the application for federal student loans if kids need to go that route. So it's the application that tells you if you're eligible for Pell Grant money, which is based off of financial need of the household. And then student loans, every student is eligible for at least a student loan for college through the FAFSA application, no matter how much money their parents make or their family makes. Every student is eligible for at least a student loan through FAFSA. But the reason why FAFSA is important now, a lot of scholarships will require a student to do a FAFSA application. A lot of scholarships will ask what your EFC number is, which is the number that FAFSA gives you at the very end when you complete it. And that just kind of tells them what your financial need is. Also, this year, the State Board of Education has made FAFSA a requirement for graduation. So that has been a big push this year, too. Any questions so far? All right. Also, fast track kids, they can do FAFSA to see if it will pay for their classes. But other than fast track, it's just high school graduates that are eligible. It is, for this year, the one that kids are doing now for the 22-23 year that starts this fall is based off of the 2020 taxes. So what they call that is prior year. So whatever year they're applying for, you go back 2 years to figure out what taxes you use, which of course when you get on there it tells you what year to use. But that gives you an idea of how that works. So it looks at parents' tax information, and it looks at student tax information if they did file. If they didn't file, that's fine. You just put on there that they didn't file. Also, if parents didn't file and they've got other forms of income, that's fine too. It accompanies all that stuff, or encompasses all those things. Even students who may not have family, they may be a ward of the court, or they may be staying with family friends, or there may be some extenuating circumstances with family that a student may need to be considered independent. That can be done on FAFSA as well, so that they don't have to put parent information on there. So the questions that it asks on FAFSA will determine if the student is dependent or independent, whether or not they would have to use parent information. And I think that is about it. I'm trying to think. There is a tool on the FAFSA application that will connect the IRS information. So a person's tax information from the IRS website, it will connect that into the FAFSA application because they're both government websites, so they can talk to each other. So that can be done through FAFSA so that you're not having to sit there and type in all the tax numbers and all that information. So that does make it quite a bit easier. And a student will have to, when they first log in, they'll have to create a username and password, and that's their username and password every single year. FAFSA has to be done every single year, updated every year. And also, at least one parent will also create a username and password that they will use from there on out, whether they're doing a FAFSA for themselves or for one of their children. And that is considered their online signature for FAFSA. So instead of signing a piece of paper, you're signing with that username and password. It's called an FSA ID. But yeah, I think that's about it. Any questions? All right.